to my channel. If you saw the last video on how to draft the Victorian corset, I said Victoria, on how to draft the Victorian corset, then this video is for you. If you've not seen that one, you have to see it before coming over here, because in this particular tutorial I'm going to show you how I made the Victorian corset. In fact, I'm even making it a bonus because I'll be showing you how I made the Victorian corset into a dress. Although I'll tell you how to do, if you just want it as a corset like this, I'll tell you how to do it, which is okay. Let's even do that now. When you get to this stage, as you can see for this one, I did not line it or anything. I did not put any stay, but it still looks good. So now if you want to make it just a corset without adding like any bottom to it or a yoke to it, the only thing you need to do is you replicate this particular bodice that you did before. Now this Victorian corset that you did, you do the same thing with your lining piece. If your lining piece is the same fabric, you use the same fabric to replicate this. If your lining piece is a normal or regular lining, you do the same thing, but you fuse it with interfacing. Now after doing that, you just turn it inside like you would normally turn any basic pattern you're working with, any bodice you're working with. The way you would turn it with your lining, that's what you do. You turn it with your lining and you use the lining to also turn the raw edges on the bottom part. Now if you don't want to line it, if you remember my other video on transparent corset, which I would have linked with this video, if you remember that video, I showed you how to make the inside look nice. So if you want to know how to do that, go watch that video, and then the only thing you would do is you would pipe the top and the bottom part. So I hope that is self-explanatory. If you've not subscribed to my channel, please do subscribe to my channel. Turn up the post notification bell so that you get notified anytime I post any new video. Give this video a thumbs up if you like it. Share and tell your friend to tell your friend to tell a friend. And God bless you all. Okay, let's get.
Guys, the first thing to do is to cut out the patterns the way we did from the previous video and cut it out on your main fabric. I already cut it out, and I also cut interfacing, and I pressed on the interfacing on all pieces, including the lining piece. Now the lining piece you might decide not to do it, which is still fine, but because the fabric I'm using is velvet and I want that stability, I had to press on the lining piece. The next thing to do is to join each pieces together. Like just go to your sewing machine and join them together. You see the way I aligned them together, I didn't separate it. As I'm picking one, I'm joining it. I'm picking the other one, I'm joining it, so that you will not miss anyone, because these pieces are really small and it's very easy for you to miss them. So the way I joined this right side, I joined the left side. After joining each side together, I'll join the middle piece to form one continuous piece for the front piece. Now, you make sure everything is aligning well together, everything goes smoothly the way it's supposed to go. And if your fabrics are not meeting where they are supposed to meet, then you know something is wrong with your pattern. You have the freedom to go back to your pattern. Remember when we did this pattern, I traced it out, so you can also go back to your pattern if you want. Now I ironed the seam allowances towards the ones that face right. I ironed them face right. The ones that face left, I ironed them face left. I just ironed them towards the edge of the fabric so they will get out the way, except for the center piece which I ironed open. And I did the same for my lining piece, as you can see. My lining piece is the one with the white interfacing. So after doing this, I'm just showing you my boning. Now the next thing I did is to cut is to trace out my yoke from my previous pattern. Like I said before, if you've not seen that previous video, you go back to that video and watch. So I just traced out my yoke the way you would normally trace out any yoke from any bodies that you cut off. So I traced it out together with the dart because I'll be folding the dart in to get a proper well-fitting yoke. Now this is the yoke for the front part. Is the front part is the one with the dart. Remember our pattern did not have a dart on the back part. So guys, after tracing out the yoke and closing the dart on the front part, this is what I have. I just have to place it on my net or two fabrics, whichever you call it, and then cut it off together, and I added the seam allowance at the back. Now I decided I was contemplating if I wanted a full back or I just wanted anything you decide to do here depends on you. Like, it's not a must to do this. You can decide to leave it normally like this, and you can decide to just plant it. I just didn't want that full tulle at the back. I just needed something there but not full, and you see it on the picture after you're done. So like you do for any yoke and bodies that you have, you pin it on the fabric. So that's exactly what I'm doing here. I'm just pinning the yoke down on the fabric, and then I'll use the lining piece to turn it together. I don't know if I'm making sense, but this is a normal step that any tailor or any fashion designer should know about. So you can see that I've already turned it with my lining, and it's already looking like a corset. This is the lining. You see how neat the inside is looking. Now I want to work on the closure, on the lace closure. You can see that this is really easy to make. You put the closure on either the right or the left side, whichever you want to work with, and then you get your loops ready. At this point your loops should be ready, just tiny pieces of loops. You get them ready. Now the open part should be the one facing outside. Just look at what I'm doing. So the open part should be the one facing outside, while the closed part will be facing inside because we want to turn it. Now for my loops, I realized it was big, so I just folded it instead of going back to the sewing machine, which was also fine. I just folded it, and then I um, turned it into two, like I folded it into two to form a loop, and then I placed it in between the closure and the main bodies. I placed it in between the closure and the main bodies, and I pinned it down. So you see, when you turn it, when you sew and you flip it over, you have a clean finish. So now you're supposed to take it all at once, but if you can't do that, you can do it one by one. There's no competition there. You can do it one by one. Then the other side also, you do the same thing. The only difference between this side and that other side is that this side does not have closure. You just put the loops alone on this side, and that's it. Now let's go to the skirt part. The way you would normally draft your the way you draft your normal skirt, that's what you start with at first. So here I'm just ruling um my hip line, because I took my hip measurement from my waist, which was 9 inches, and I just ruled on that line, on that 9 inches point, a straight line. Now after doing that, I want to get my full length. Okay, my knee length first. I want to get my knee length. Whichever measurement is your knee length. I did 21 inches because I'm a tall person. The normal 18 inches that you usually do for mermaid skirts and stuff like that, it hangs like a little bit above, below my what's it called, my hip, which does not look flattering at all. So because of my height, I had to go down to 21 inches. So feel free to measure yourself or measure your client and get where your curve would start from. It doesn't necessarily mean you do the normal 18 inches that everybody does. 18 inches is fine for someone that is on the average height or for a short person, but definitely not for a tall person, because I'm almost 6 foot tall. So that 18 inches would not work. If you're about my height, please don't use 18 inches. Measure yourself. Now the next thing I just did is I impute my normal measurement divided by 4, my waist measurement divided by 4, my hip measurement divided by 4. Then I added 2 inches seam allowance. You can decide to put 1 inch seam allowance. You can decide to put even half an inch allowance, especially if you're not lining the piece. So whichever allowance you decide to do is left to you. Now for the knee part, I reduced 1 inch from my hip measurement. Now my hip measurement divided by 4 was 10.75 inches plus 2 inches seam allowance. It gave me 12.75. Now for the knee part, I did 11.75, which later on I decided to bring a little bit inside because I wanted that hourglass shape. I needed that hourglass shape, so I had to bring it inside. But if you don't want it tight around the knee, you can leave it like this by deducting just 1 inch from your hip measurement. But if you really want it tight, the way you see the picture that I put on the thumbnail, then you need to come in at least 2 or 2.5 inches. Now what I'm doing here, I didn't know I was out of frame, but I'm just taking the full length measurement, which is no big deal. I just want to get my full length to know where I'm going to stop, because here I just want to draw my curve point down. So now after getting my full length, here you have the freedom to decide how wide you want the bottom part to be. You can decide to do like 2 of your hip measurements and set this like 3 of your hip measurements. But I think the least you can do should be about 14 or 15 inches. That should be the least, because you really want to show that it's a mermaid skirt. So here I did up to 20 inches. Yes, I know I'm a lot, but I just wanted it. And if you don't have enough fabric, don't dare do up to 20 inches like I did, because this really took a whole lot of my fabric. Like I almost used up my 6 yards of Ankara fabric. So know the fabric you have available for you to know the measurements you'll be working with. So from that 20 inches point on the base of my skirt, I just used a straight or a slanted line to meet up with my knee measurement, and then I connected with a curve so that that line will not be sharp. So now remember I told you initially that I came in a little bit more from the knee measurement because I just felt I wanted more shape, more tightness around the knee. But like I said before, if you feel like you need that, because if you're sewing this for like an elderly person, they wouldn't want this tightness because they want their freedom to work on top. Not like you will not have the freedom to work, but you get what I'm trying to say, you get the gist. So you just connect it back to the slanted line, like this for the front part. All you need to do now is to cut it off. And also for the base, if you don't want it sharp, you can decide to just blank it a bit. Whichever way you do it is fine by me and by you also. So just cut it out, cut. Now I want to plan the back piece. For the back piece, the first thing to do is to measure your zip allowance down to the knee point. Here I'm just putting my 2 inches mark down to my knee point. Now from the knee point, that's where you draw out your mermaid line. So from that knee point, you can see where my hand is. Okay, let me just rule out the 2 inches line first so that you understand what I'm doing. Let's not be abstract with what we're doing. So now, don't mind what I just did here. Why you see I'm making a curve, I tried to add a little bit of bomb to the when I got to the hip point. Instead of 2 inches, I just did 2.5 inches. But you don't have to do that, please. If you don't want that extra bump on your fabric or on your skirt. So I just wanted to do that. I just wanted to do that, and I did. So guys, from the bottom part I came out by 8 inches. You can do 8 inches, you can do 10 inches, and on going down I also did the same thing. So I hope you saw what I just did. Now that 8 inches point where I marked first on the side, I'm connecting it with a slanted line to that 2 inches on top of my that 2 inches from my zip allowance. Remember, we just did a zip allowance of 2 inches. Now from that line you slant it down to that 8 inches mark or 10 inches mark that you just did. After doing that, you connect with a fine curve. You connect it to the edge of the fabric. But here I want to cut out, my pattern paper is not enough, so I just cut out more and I taped it down. So now you can see I'm using my free hand to do the curve. That's why you have to do it on a pattern paper, so that you'll be able, although if you're doing it on your fabric, you use your chalk, you can clean it off. So you see, I'm trying to see the curve that works for me. Whichever works for you, fine, you do it, and then you connect it to the base of the front part. That's why you need the front part, so that they will connect on at the edge together. If you don't understand what I'm saying, just look at what I'm doing and then you get it. You can see the dotted lines that I made initially as a test run, I'm connecting it now to make it permanent. And guys, trust me, we're done with drafting this skirt part. Consider it a mermaid skirt. If you want a very detailed tutorial on how to make this mermaid skirt, let me know in the comment section down below. I'll try to make a detailed tutorial for you. So you can see we have our front and back body plan already. Now for the other part of the skirt, you're wondering why the other part is like that. No, you're not leave it like that. You paste out exactly what you have on this other side, because it will be the same when you're joining it. You can see we've already done that. Now I want to cut it out on my fabric. You just lay your fabric down the way it works for you, and then cut it out. Yeah, the reason why I used so much fabric was because I didn't want any unnecessary joining. But if you're doing joining, like you want to cut the fabric the way the fabric is made to be like 45, then you can do that. But I didn't want any unnecessary joining, so I folded my fabric the way it would be without joining, and I cut it off. I cut the front part and also the back part. Now, like you do for any skirt, like any basic skirt, you join the front with the back right side facing each other, and then you sew with whatever seam allowance that you left on it. If you're lining it, this is the time for you to line it. If you want to do a clean finish lining like the way we did for our jacket, lining piece looking so yum. All you need to do here is to go ahead and iron it. But me, I did something extra. Okay, you put your sleeve, whichever sleeve you want to use. I used the two lines. I did something extra by using those trimmings to design it. I decided to do that. My design was I should fuck her in a Benz.